that's all for Gray Matters. Hi there, my friends there in good old Salem and Kaiser. We bring you today a specialist all the way from distant Portland. It was distant today, right?
Yes, it was.
Okay. Introduce yourself.
Hi, my name is Tiffany, and I don't know what to say about myself.
Okay. You're a native of Salem. You were born here.
Born in Salem.
What high school did you go to?
I went to Clackamas High School in Clackamas, Oregon.
Okay, so you ran.
So yeah, I moved up to the Portland area when I was about 10 years old.
Okay, good.
Mm-hmm. And I grew up in Clackamas, and now I live in the Gladstone area.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm a computer specialist up there. I run my own business.
Okay. Now, you've been doing, for a while, child care.
Mm-hmm.
So let's go back to your early days when you were a child. What was your childhood like,
Well,
Tiffany?
I was diagnosed with diabetic at 2 years old.
Yeah.
So I had a stay-at-home parent all the time.
Mm-hmm.
And, I was pretty blessed to have a parent that stayed home with me.
Mm-hmm.
I had 2 sisters.
Yes.
They were both younger than me.
Mm-hmm.
I was taken care of really well, so I was really blessed. My dad was an entrepreneur, and my mom did bookkeeping, and so they took turns staying home and taking care of me.
Good.
So.
Now, when you were diabetic, does that mean you were insulin dependent?
Yes, I was.
Because that's very important because somebody has to be there to administer
Insulin, yeah.
the insulin and the dosage and make sure that probably from a blood sample that they pour enough insulin into your body, because the pancreas is supposed to make insulin the part of the body.
Right.
But if it closes down and doesn't do its job, you need to replace that, and that's what insulin is all about.
Correct.
It's it's like a vitamin to the pancreas in a way.
Right.
That's a funny way to look at it.
Yeah, I've had to be on insulin basically my whole life.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Now, also, when you are diabetic, it's not only sweets you have to avoid, but you have to go low on carbohydrates, starch stuff. And a lot of people don't realize that.
Yeah, the carbohydrates you have to watch.
Mm-hmm.
You have to balance the carbohydrates with the proteins, and really make sure you watch the carbohydrate intake, balancing the fast-acting carbohydrates with the long-acting carbohydrates.
Different kinds. See, that's
Yeah.
good to know. So one day we'll do a show on that. I think we did a few years ago. But so tell us how you got into the business of childcare.
Well, I had a child when I was young. I was 18 when I had my first child, and so I worked really hard to take care of her. And when she was about 9, I had a preemie, and she was born 10 and a half weeks early. And I realized I couldn't put her into daycare. And so I had to stay home and from working a call center job and take care of her. And so I started doing daycare for other kids in the apartment complex. And so I had her.
Were you living in Clackamas at the time?
I was living in Milwaukee, actually.
Milwaukee, okay.
Yeah, and she then also developed autism at 17 months. And so I really couldn't put her into daycare at that point. And so I was taking care of the children at the same time because it was easier to, get income from the state. I became state licensed and did the child care fund, got child care funds from the state to take care of other low-income families, children for them.
Now, when you tackle child care, what are some of the issues that come up?
Well, you have to feed them. You have to provide,
bathroom, of course.
Bathroom. You have to provide activities for them to do. You have to make sure you have a clean, safe environment for them.
That's true.
Medical training. You have to have CPR knowledge. You have to have, first aid kits. You have to have, all that type of stuff.
So you get licensed.
Yeah.
Because they want to make sure that you can meet a certain standard up there.
And you have to know the laws as far as like how many kids you can have and how many kids you can't have and what age ranges you can have. And because like you can have so many babies or you can have so many toddlers or you can have a lot of big kids, but you can't have a lot of little kids because otherwise you're breaking the law.
So tell us about let's say your first year doing childcare. What year was that when you started?
It was about, when I started doing it professionally, it was about 2007.
Okay, it's about 10 years ago, roughly.
Yeah.
And tell us about your first year, what it was like, some of the challenges you overcame.
Well, the little
Many,
girl,
multiple
the little
choice.
girl I was watching was a little bit intense. She liked to pick up my cat and bite it. So it was a little frustrating. So I had some discipline issues I had to handle, and that was learning how to discipline another person's child was interesting because like most of the kids I had before that were like my best friend's kids, and so it was different because like,
experience.
best friend's kids or sister's kids are different because they're like family, and so you can kind of discipline them like you would your own. But total strangers' kids, you can't just swat them on the butt. You have to put them in the corner and put them in timeout. You can't.
So this
discipline
kid
them the
was
same way.
problematic for you.
Yeah, it was very problematic. And so she picked on my youngest kid a lot too, and she would kind of beat her up a little bit, and so I had to learn how to discipline her. And
So what was your formula?
well, I ended up doing a combination of like a sticker chart type thing with a timeout type thing, and she hated it. She hated standing in the corner with her nose on the wall, but I made her put her nose on the wall and stand in the corner for as many minutes as it was her age, and it worked. So, and that's the key is usually as many minutes as their age is the limit to what you should put them in a timeout for. So it's about as much as they can handle.
Interesting. What were your happiest moments in childcare?
When I could teach a child a new thing, like teaching them
For
something
example,
new, teaching them a new skill or sign language. I like teaching children
Apple.
sign language. Yeah, Apple or mom, something like when their mom gets there. Hi, mom, I love you. Teaching them something that they can show their
Why don't
parents.
you teach the people in the camera how to say "I love you" in sign language?
You can do I love you,
Yeah.
or you can do I, and then love
I love
you.
you. Okay. Which is I?
I,
Oh, I is like a pinky.
pinky, and then or I.
Or I.
You can do I
And
this
then
way too,
love.
and then love.
And you point to you.
Yep.
Okay. Next time you meet your honey bunch, or whatever you call your special significant other or significant bother, as the case may be, tell them, I love you.
I like love this way because it's like a hug,
Yes, it's a hug.
Yeah.
It's a cool way to go.
My 11-year-old's autistic and she doesn't speak and she likes to say I love you like this. So she says it all the time.
Yeah. By the way, this is the time of year. Actually, this week is Helen Keller's birthday. I believe she's June 27th. I don't know what year, but I got the state legislature to do a Helen. No, it wasn't a legislature. I got Mayor Taylor down here to do Disability Awareness Week back in 2004, 2005, roughly.
Yeah.
Because Helen Keller is sort of an icon, a role model to persons with disabilities.
That was one thing I was facing when Chloe was born prematurely, is that she might have been facing blindness too because she had retinopathy of prematurity, and that's when the retina stops growing.
Wow.
And so for the first year of her life, we didn't know if she could see or not, and so that was really scary. And luckily, she's able to see just fine. So I'm blessed with that. But we're teaching her sign language, and it's an interesting form of sign language because since with her autism, she has motor movement skill problems. It's not perfect, but
How's her hearing?
her hearing's perfect, man. She can hear, but she ignores you. So it's hard to know when she's actually listening or not. But she can hear everything. It's just she just chooses to respond when she wants to. So, but she chooses to respond better when you sign with her, and so. She does that, and she also has a communication board that has pictures on it that she presses and it talks for her.
How old is she now?
She's 11. She'll be 12 in January. So.
And what would you say is her strong point?
She's really strong-willed. I was told when she was in the NICU that she was the most strong-willed child they had ever seen in the NICU. And
well, she's fighting back. She doesn't want to be saddled with university labor.
yeah. So
I admire that.
yeah, and she's a really loving kid. She shows affection for other people, and she likes to give kisses and hugs, and she likes to smell people's hair. So that's kind of her thing, and she really likes to be hugged and held and loved up And
Now, is she homeschooled or she go
no,
to
she goes to school.
special ed?
She goes to special ed, and she goes into junior high next year.
Wow.
Yeah.
And what subject does she seem to like the best?
Probably recess. But she's really good at art, and she just doesn't like to sit down and be, in one place. And she's really good at reading, but she likes YouTube videos the best on her phone. So.
Okay. Well, you're able to get a copy, a DVD of this and put it on YouTube.
Yeah, that'd be fun.
Yeah. If anybody has a question about childcare, could they write to you? Do you have an email that you could give them?
Yeah, it's tiffany.duchemin,
Spell it.
Duchem like Mary, I like Igloo, and like Nancy, at outlook.com.
Okay. That's Tiffany Duchemin.
Yeah, tiffany.duchemin
Tiffany
at outlook.com.
Okay, remember the dots?
Yep.
Don't dash with your dot. Okay. When you were a little girl, what did you want to be? What was your
I always
dream?
wanted to be a teacher.
Well, you're teaching your children stuff.
Yes.
And
So I choose now to teach people through my computer stuff that I do, and and help people, and I choose to teach people every day, with my skills I do, and
now, if somebody wants to get into the child care field, what do they do? Is there a training program? It's not a formal school, is there? Or maybe some community colleges might have specialties in that.
There are some for like teenagers and stuff. There are programs that they can take.
Yeah.
I'm not sure for adults if there's the same thing. But there are like CPR classes you can go to, and there's some certifications you can get in the colleges. Yes, and there are early education classes you can take that would help out with those.
Because you're not just dealing with the body, you're dealing with the mind, sometimes a rebellious mind.
Right, yeah.
And you got to be equipped for that so that you're not put in the having to apologize for doing something abruptly.
Right, because a lot of the times when you have like a home daycare, you almost want to have like a home type preschool type setting, because a lot of parents are attracted to that.
What's the typical age you've handled?
The 3-year-old to the 7-year-old range.
And is there any one age that is trickier than others? Are they rougher the older they get, or not really?
3-year-olds are pretty rough. The potty training and the terrible 2s goes into the terrible 3s, and the biting and the scratching and the
pushing the envelope.
Pushing the envelope a little bit. Yeah, that's where you get those meltdowns and the fit throwing, and they kind of merge together, and you got to learn which is which, and when to give attention and when to kind of ignore, and when picking up the cat's okay and when it's not, and that kind of stuff. And
okay. Yeah. By the way, I want to share with our audience, if you want to get a DVD of this program to keep and play at home, because some of the valuable tips we give you, you could come to the 575 Trade Street and speak to Megan at the front desk here, very wonderful lady, and Megan will help you fill out a form, or she'll fill out the form to get that, and order for, $6. You get a DVD of any program we have here. 575 Trade Street, free parking on Trade or High Street or what have you. So, any closing words?
No, just when you do have kids in your home, love them and treat them as your own.
Treat them as your own. Okay. I have no kids of my own, but I did do some mentoring with kids and all. So, and the hardest challenge is discipline?
Discipline, yes.
Okay. So you better be well disciplined to handle that. If you have any questions or ideas for future shows at CCTV under our Gray Matter series, write to me, Lucky Coyne, at yahoo.com. That's it. We're going to be signing off now. Thank you so much, Tiffany.
Yep.
I love that beautiful dress of yours with all the abstractions there. Bye.
Bye.
And have a happy in between.